Yo guys, what is up? Max on a Borderlands 4 video, and today we're going to be going over the top 5 assault rifles in my opinion in Borderlands 4. Now, note for this video, we collected every legendary assault rifle in the game and tested them out on like the most neutral build that I could put together, which was just like a fire rate Rafa build. And these are my opinions on the top 5 ARs. Some of these ARs you do want specific roles for them, which we'll be going over, as well as where to farm all of them. I hope you guys enjoy the breakdown. Let's get right into it. So as with the licensed parts system, this list that we're going to be talking about is mainly legendaries. However, I really would recommend not sleeping on purple ARs. All of the gameplay that is showing on screen right now is with this purple AR that I just randomly picked up that's slowly becoming one of my favorite weapons. This is the Slutty Strong Truncheon. It's a Torg AR that rolled with Maliwan to give it elemental rolls and Jacob's parts to crit on Ricochet. I've been using this a ton on my like Infinite Harlow. It just does ridiculous amounts of damage. It's like 2k base damage a shot, which is getting tons of base damage, and it ricochets and it benefits from elemental stuff. So like while this list is going to be going over the top 5 legendary Rs, I strongly urge you to like not sleep on purple rolls. Some of the craziest guns in the game are purples. So coming in at our number 5 spot is the Lucian's Flank. This is a returning gun from Borderlands 3. It rolls guaranteed with the Trample legendary passive, where critical hits refill up to 2 ammo to the gun's magazine. This is free ammo, which is really nice. And it is also a Vladoff AR that is guaranteed to roll Jacob's parts, allowing it to ricochet, so your crits are giving you back ammo and ricocheting to other enemies. Now, the Lucian's Flank, gonna be honest with you, is one of the lower like DPS weapons. Not talking about like card DPS, just like actually like shooting at enemies. It does a little bit lower damage. However, it can roll with things like the Alt Fire Extra Barrel to give you increased fire rate with this thing, and it can also roll with Torg Stickies to up its single target damage. It also can roll in multiple elements. It's just a very versatile mobbing weapon. Definitely not anything that's going to be putting together fast boss kills. However, for mobbing, it's quite nice. Now, there is another AR that is quite similar to it, which is the Aegon's Dream. Aegon's Dream is also a Vladoff AR that does both fire and cryo damage. It's also really nice. It doesn't come by default with a Jacob's roll. However, you can get a Jacob's roll Aegon's Dream, and then it'll perform pretty similar to you as the Lucians. I personally like the Lucians just because it's got the guaranteed Jacob's roll, but both are really great, and both kind of function pretty similarly if you're looking for a like mobbing AR. For the Lucian's Flank, you want to kill the Meathead Riders. This is in Terminus range in the Cuspid Climb, in the very, very south of Cuspid Climb. Coming in our number 4 spot is the Chuck Assault Rifle. Now, this is a very fun and kind of unique assault rifle that when you try to shoot it, it just reloads and chucks it. There is no actually shooting bullets with this thing. It is just a TDR that you can spam really, really quickly. Now, because you can spam it really quickly, it's great on TDR builds, and it can roll the TDR passive Replicator Homing, which allows you to, whenever you reload this thing or shoot it, it throws homing projectiles of itself that home in on enemies. This does tons of damage for mobbing, and it can boss as well. I've been messing around a whole bunch with a like TDR Rafa build using his Grenazerker class mod that whenever you throw a grenade or a TDR gun, you throw an additional one. You can use that with like a TDR enhancement to throw an additional TDR, and then all of a sudden this kind of meme TDR assault rifle, you're spamming out super fast reloads and just deleting basically everything. It works for mobbing and for bossing. It's a little bit more niche. That's why it's not any higher on the list, because you need a specific build around it and a specific role. However, if you get those things, it is a really strong option for both mobbing and bossing. For the Chuck, you're going to want to go do the Crawlcroft Order Bunker. This is in Grindstone of the Worthy in Carcadia Burn, and you're going to be farming Fractus. Coming in at our number 3 spot is the Oscar Mike Daedalus Assault Rifle. Now, this is an assault rifle that can roll with 2 different underbarrels, either a like incendiary grenade that lights enemies on fire. However, the roll that you're looking for is the Space Laser. This calls down a space laser that does thousands of damage every 0.2 seconds. I've seen it roll from like 17k to apparently it can go as high as like 30k. The one that I've got is a 26k roll, and this counts as a gunshot. Shooting it, like calling down the laser, counts as 1 gunshot. So you can, for example, buff it with an amp rep kit. So now this space laser that does a ton of damage all of the ticks of the laser are getting a 200% amp. It also works with Vex and her like bloodshot skill, where if you use a rep kit, now all of the ticks of the laser can proc blood shots to deal a bunch of damage. It also works with like aim on, if you're going to do aim on things where you're, like your next shot does like dragon's breath with a bunch of incendiary damage. There's so many things that this works with. So if you pick this gun up, it's a solid choice. However, if you build around it, particularly the space laser, it will literally one-shot bosses for you. It also guarantees rolls with the tactical rounds legendary passive, where the first half of your magazine deals 50% bonus damage. You can build around this as well. For example, Rafa has Bullet Buddy Deluxe, where the first half of your mag, or you just don't consume ammo while your action skill is up, and then all of your shots are getting 50% bonus damage. On Vex, you can use Witchy Trigger Finger, where every time that you use Eldritch Blast, you refill your mag to full, so you can just keep this thing constantly at its like 50% buff. So if you're building around this AR, it's genuinely one of the strongest in the game. It also has some pretty wild rolls. You can get Torg on it. You can get Jacobs. I don't think you can get it Elemental. However, it doesn't really matter for this thing. It is a powerhouse. For the Oscar Mike Assault Rifle, you're going to kill Gen 1. This is in Lopside in Carcadia Burn. In order to access this boss, you need to do the Fault Finding side quest. Coming at our number 2 spot is the GMR. Now, this is honestly the only order weapon that I've picked up and actually really enjoyed. The GMR comes with the Big Name Hunter legendary perk. When you're aimed down sights, your damage increases by 100%, your shot cost increases by 100%, and your fire rate decreases by 50%. This thing hits like a truck. When you're zoomed in and firing, every shot hits for about half of the damage of a hot slugger shot. However, with like fire rate buffs, you can actually make this thing fire very, very quickly. It pops heads. It does great damage. Feels really good for mobbing. I personally really like it on Rafa, where you can get a bunch of those fire rate buffs, so it doesn't feel like you're shooting a slow firing weapon. This also works really great on like Bleed Vex, if you're using Bleed Vex, because this gun hits really hard. It's got tons of base damage, so you're proccing really meaty bleeds if you're using the GMR. It's not like the strongest option for bossing. However, this is one of those like guns that just feels really, really good to use. Kind of reminds me of using doll weapons back in like Borderlands 3, but this one hits hard. And the best thing about this is it doesn't have an ordered charge up mechanic. So you can just hold down the trigger and fire. You don't have to constantly charge up every shot, which I think is why it's part of the reason it's one of the only order weapons that I actually enjoy. For the GMR, you're going to go to Tonnage Peel in Carcadia Burn. This is like far top left. And kill Driller Hole. And coming in at our number 1 spot is the Wombo Combo. If you've used this thing, you probably were already guessing that this was going to be at the number 1 spot. The Wombo Combo is a Vladoff AR that comes with a default, basically like grenade launcher. As you're firing its shots, every few shots will launch a underbot barrel like grenade wherever you're aiming that hits for thousands of damage, but it allows this gun to be a very powerful splash option. It also comes in all elements, which makes it very, very versatile, so you can pick up multiple and use them for different scenarios. However, where this weapon really shines is taking on the hardest enemies in the game, or the most annoying, depending on how you look at it. The vile enemies with their crystals can be a real pain, and if you're using guns without splash damage, it can take a while to kill them. They will definitely slow you down. The Wombo Combo just plows through vile enemies. It does tons of splash damage. You can just shoot in the general direction of vile enemies, and all of their crystals will come flying off. It's good for bossing, it's good for mobbing, and it's one of the highest DPS weapons in the game, and in my opinion, easily one of the top 5 best legendaries in the game. Can't recommend picking this thing up, even if you're at an early level, or if you're trying to farm for endgame. It's got like, you know, it doesn't need a super crazy specific role to be good, which also puts it up higher on this list for me. And that is our top 5 list. To farm the Wombo Combo, you're going to fight the Ripper Roadbirds in the Ruined Sumplands. This is at the top of the Carcadia Burn area. Guys, that's going to do it for our top 5 list. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if there's an AR on this list that you think I should have put in the top 5. Some ones that came really, really close to me personally to making this list are like the Goalkeeper. Thought the Goalkeeper was really, really fun. I was actually pretty impressed with the Potato Thrower. That gun was pretty cool. And the Bonnie and Clyde on the right side up is also a very solid gun. Just none of them quite strong enough, in my opinion, to make the top 5 list. But yeah, that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care. Peace.